Okay, can I just quickly, before I start talking, can I just say whoever just posted the comment about Appian is my absolute hero. I do think that Power Apps and Power Automate get a really bad reputation for licensing issues, but if you've ever tried the low-code solutions that are out there, such as Appian, and if you've ever looked at the enterprise pricing for that, you know what we mean by that comment. So yeah, absolute hero there. Okay, so we had a bit of a vote over lunchtime, and the general consensus came back that everybody would like to have a look at PVA. So let's get full screen on the slides and lose me, and let's talk about Power Virtual Agents. Now, this is not prepared content for you guys. I'm stepping in here because we've had that change to schedule. So let me just explain a little bit about who I am, what it is I'm going to talk about, and the other session as well. Excuse me. So the other session that I proposed for this slot was to talk about power tools in Teams, and it's absolutely fundamental that everybody makes that shift to Teams. You'll have noticed that the customers are doing it, and we need to do that too. So one of the things that I've put together in a slide deck is how to solve some business problems within that team space using the power tools, by which I mean all of the Power Platform and a little bit of forms magic too, to solve some real business problems that most businesses have in a 30-minute session. Now, don't worry, you won't miss that content. In about 8 days' time, I should be presenting that at the Scottish Summit, which I'm supporting today with the sweatshirt. If you haven't signed up for the Scottish Summit, jump over there. It is a huge conference. We're certainly over 1,000 people have registered for it now, and there are some great speakers. I shall be on the Power Apps track all day, managing all the sessions, but I'll also be speaking with this exact getting to value faster with the power tools in Teams. I should be doing that session at 11 o'clock on the 27th of Feb. So join me over there. So we're not going to miss that content, and it is great stuff to look at how we can get some quick wins in a business. But today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the Power Virtual Agent session that I did back in December. And so it's got a Christmas theme, but it shows you some of the fundamentals around the Power Virtual Agents, and I hope you find this an interesting session. So a little bit about me, that's all up on the screen. You can read, I don't need to read that out for you. I do always say yes to a coffee. So even if it's a virtual coffee, I tend to do community calls in evenings and weekends. So if you're excited about the Power Platform and you want to talk it through, give me a buzz and we'll get on a session and we'll talk about any interesting challenges that you've had, that you've met. I'd love to hear from you. And we're always looking for Power Apps user group speakers. So do volunteer if you've got something to share. I'm a great believer in hearing from businesses directly and looking at business solutions. So let's move on to PVA. Now, today is not a business solution. I haven't done this full screen because I need to flick into the browser, and that's not really very easy if I'm presenting as well. So like I say, I did this session before Christmas. I needed to find something interesting to do with Power Virtual Agent that people would relate to at that time of year. So what we did is 3 of us got together, Clarissa and Jessie, who are also on today's agenda, to do a presentation around the power tools for the Christmas period. So please forgive all the Christmassy, but like I say, the underlying message is there. So Santa's new assistant is going to be PVA. So something that I'd like to put in the chat, if I can we copy this link? So the way that this works is that I've embedded this PVA, this agent, into a public website for you. So if I just make that as an announcement and paste you that link. So while we're talking this through, you can go and have a look at the agent itself in action. So what we're using the agent for is to ask some questions and to intelligently determine whether you are in fact naughty or nice. So I'd be really pleased if you could all go over there and let me know in the chat as we're going through if you are in fact naughty or nice. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about and this is the page you'll see, just so that you recognise that when it comes up. Ignore this bit at the top, that was to do with the community call. But if you scroll down on that page, you will see the PVA. So Let's show you a little bit about that PVA as it works. So this is what you get when you sign up for Power Virtual Agents. So this is the homepage here, takes you into some generic get started stuff, and it's also got some tips on authoring and publishing, and then your performance afterwards. We're not too concerned about performance at the moment, but if you were putting this bot in your organization, you might be keen to know what triggers people to come and take the test, you know, or to have the conversation. If you're publishing this outside of your organization, it might be a marketing event that causes people to say nice things or mean things or ask questions about a certain product. So the method I'm going to show you today is the proper Power Virtual Agents one rather than the Teams virtual agent. Okay, so the one in Teams we call chatbot. The difference is the Teams one is included in your Teams license. So pretty much anybody can have a play with that and get started. So all the things you're seeing here today, you can go and play with in that same surface. The Power Virtual Agent that I'm showing you today is the public facing one. So we can publish the bot to a web page, and from that link that I've just given you there in the chat, you can go and play with this bot live. So what else do we get under the hood? So once we have started, we get this topic screen, and a topic is basically something that is triggered as a response. So if you're Power Automate people, this is your trigger screen. So if we have a look at our start topic, what it's doing is saying, how do we start the whole process? Okay, and we can put in some trigger phrases here. This might be hi, etc. Anything that you think people are going to type in the moment they hit that first page. We can also, while we're in here, we can test our bot using this little link at the bottom and bring the bot up. So I think I've got one of my triggers. If I nip back to topics, don't worry, we didn't save that one. I think we are using hello to start. It's a standard starting one. So this is in the greetings. So I've used greetings, which is all of these that you can type in. And that one comes for you out of the box, so you don't have to make all of these up. So if we just put in hello, we should get a response from the agent. And I really like that we can test in line here and see what the agent is going to do. The other thing that we can do is we can watch it going through our process. So if I move into, let's go back to the topic screen. So if I actually, we did want to be in that one. Let's go in here. So we can see what this one does is it's going to take all of those trigger phrases and then it's going to redirect us to something called start. So now we know what that phrase has done. We can come to start and we can either, two ways of getting to this, we can either click this little shortcut here to go to the authoring canvas, or we can click on the topic, see all the details and then go to the authoring canvas. So the nice thing about this bot here is that he's following the process that I'm going through. So we need some personal details. What is your name? Okay, so we can see that I've got several conditions here. Now this is because, going back to the slide deck, what I wanted to do, let me take you through here. What I wanted to do was have a method of knowing some repeat offenders or some known offenders, people that I think might be on the naughty list or people that I think might be on the nice list. So what I did within the agent itself is create a bunch of conditions. Now it's important, this acts like an if statement, okay? So there are two ways that you can take a direction in a Power Virtual Agent. So you can either use a condition or you can jump to another process. So let's just show you how the condition works. And you can see I've had to put in a condition for every one of these. So if we look at this one, so if I put in my name, and it is case sensitive, so you do have to put it in as it is, you should see it come to this condition. And then it's going to redirect to another process, excuse me, called nice peeps, right? And so the response I get is, Sharon, you've obviously rock. Here, pick a gift. Okay, so if we were to jump to nice peeps, it would show you that this is the response that we get. But this is the only place from my condition that we can call that particular topic. Okay, so the other thing that I could have done if I reset my bot and I say hello again, And again, we're initialized. You can see exactly where we are in the process. So if I then say that my name is Chuck, who is in fact Charles Sterling, who you heard in the last session, I get a slightly different response. Haha, I know you, no questions needed. You're on the naughty list. Please refer to our appeals procedure at weseeyouwhenyourSleeping.com. I mean, obviously that website probably does exist, but we just made that one up for the fun of it. So as you can see, we can give a different response based on a value that's entered directly into the data. Now, if you wanted to have a lot of values, this would take a lot of creating and it would get really wide, which is largely bad practice. But if you've only got 3 or 4 like this one, like I got a special request from Brian Dang on Twitter asking if he could be put in the nice column, and we all know that John Levesque surely should belong in the naughty. So, you know, there's only a few people here that we've got. So let's reset again and assume that you have a slightly more regular name. So let's go with hello. And hopefully you've all put in your real details so that I know that it's your real name. So then what the condition will do is I'm going to try and trigger this one. So let's put in Rob Cratchit, just to keep in the Christmas theme. And you can see now we've gone down this condition, which stays in this topic rather than redirecting off to another topic. So now we've got a bit of a conversation started. So now we're asking some key questions. So which country or region do we live in? Let's see if it'll accept UK. It can get a little bit funny on these. That's awesome. UK accepted. And again, hopefully you're all putting this in yourself. Cambridge. And what I'm doing with this data is it's just going into CDS in the background. This is a completely, this is the Cambridge Power Platform User Group tenant. So this data is not going anywhere and will happily be deleted when we finish this demo. So then we get into some questions, and this isn't really wide enough to do this justice for the type of questions that I picked. But obviously the first question is going to be, do you believe in Santa? So we put in some options. I want to believe, I'm agnostic. I'm going to try and be naughty. Let's see. When is the last time I lost my temper? A couple of hours ago, last week, last month. You can see we're following down. This question makes me angry. Let's go with that. Do you always say please and thank you? And again, we've got all of these responses here appearing for the user. I never use those words, they make me look weak. And what is the nicest thing you've ever done? And again, these are the exact questions that you're going to be asked. So what do we think would make us bad? Let's say I can't think of anything. I've actually never come out as naughty, so this is a bit of a test for me. Do you use profanities in your everyday speech? Let's go with yes, practically every other word is a curse word, which if you know me is not true. And then what we're doing, you saw that really quickly, it was calculating the process. Now, let me just show you what this is doing. So this action here is calling to flow. So what it's done is we've configured a whole bunch of variables imaginatively called questions 1 through 5 and with the name county, country and city. And we're passing that to flow. So if we were to click on this, we would see the flow details. Now, I think I already have this open in another window for you. That's the gift choice. Okay, so this is the one that we just called. So as you can see, we have the Power Virtual Agents trigger within Power Automate. And what this does is it asks you, what I'm collecting? What do I expect to receive from the virtual agent itself? So this one is the name that you have given it in the variable that you've set up in Power Virtual Agents. And this one is a bit more detail about what's going to be in that box. So then what I've done in here is a bit of a initializing variables. And then we're putting all of these questions here and we're doing some logic on each of them. I'm not going to show you what that logic is because that's cheating and that will allow you to determine whether you're naughty or nice, but you get the picture. What we're then doing is we're creating a record inside CDS, Dataverse, whatever it's called this week. And we're returning the calculation that we did up here into Power Virtual Agent. So we're saying back, this is our answer. and we're pushing back the ID as well. Now, the reason for pushing back the ID from Dataverse is to allow a later update. So we're actually setting a variable within the Power Virtual Agent to then be able to use that variable later. So we're returning what the record is. And as you can see, what's happened here is we've gone straight to the answer. So we put the answer on the screen. This is the output that we got back from the Power Automate. And then this answer is going back to the screen. So we've got two conditions. So if the answer was nice, then we're going to let you pick a gift. And if it wasn't, then we're not. So let's jump straight to being nice, because this gift choice is exactly the same in the other one. So let's, in fact, I'll show you it within here. So what we do with that gift choice, let's reset and put in some obvious answers that are going to make us nice. I'm not convinced that in the nice peeps that I put the whole process, which is why I'm going through this way. So let's just put in test for now on the name. Place to live. And we're going to say Cambridge, which is where I am. And we're going to say that we believe in Santa, and all the nice things that we think we could possibly say. I think that one's sarcastic, but let's put that in anyway. Let's sponsor a child in a developing country, and let's very rarely get cross. And we can see that we're calculating, and now I've come out as nice. So we're now down the nice tree. So what we did here is from this condition, we then triggered another flow. So again, get gift choices, if I jump over here. So get gift choices, again, is going to it's going to be triggered from the Power Virtual Agent. But this time we've got nothing to pass it. The fact is that we're nice and we get gift choices. There's no variable to pass in. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at what and we called it recipes because this jumps into another process for elves being able to manage the process, which Clarissa did a fantastic power app for. But what we've got here is it's going to the table and it's going to bring back the records for us. We've not set anything else on that action. We're then going to bring back an array of all the gifts. And we're going to populate that array with the values that we've got back from that list record. We're then going to return that back to the Power Virtual Agent and say gift 1 through 4 and what they actually are, which is what you're seeing on this screen here. So while we've got here, we've got gifts 1 through 4, and then we've said what the choices are for the user. Now, when I did this presentation, I did very nicely ask the Power Platform team if the gift that I could have for Christmas was that we could pass these variables backwards and forwards without having to do this magic of turning them into a number choice and then posting back a number and then having to work out which number is which in the array again, which is what you currently have to do. So be prepared for that little bit of legwork when we're doing this. So if I pick, what am I going to have? Well, it's going to be a diamond ring, obviously. Toy soldier, matchbox car. This one was going to be a Tesla, but we decided that that wasn't Christmassy enough. And we get a nice response saying, good call, check how long you've got to wait. And if I click that, I think that'll open another window for me. And this is your countdown to Christmas, which is quite a long way away now. Certainly wasn't that when we did it to begin with. And that's telling us how many sleeps there are till Christmas. So what's it done in the background? Well, in the background, it needed to update that gift choice back to the Common Data Service, or Dataverse. Sorry, I will get out of that habit eventually. And I think, no, that's the wrong one. Let's get back here. Update gift choice. So this is what we did in the background. So we had to pass, this is why we set the ID earlier. So we had to pass the ID back again, and obviously the number that we assigned to the gift choice. So we're then going to set some variables. We're going to turn it into a string, or rather turn it into a number from a string. We are then going to have a look in the recipes table, having put all of our, creating an array and putting all of our values in the array. We're then going to get the record that matches my ID, and then we're going to update that record with both of the things that we just got. So the matching of the number in the array to the list record is going to go It's a little bit further down. It's going to go in here in gift choice. That came out as a variable, I think, here. And then that choice will come back into this record. So we picked the ID from the passback. We're going to set the name because we got the name from here. So we're just going to make sure that that matches. And then we have nothing to pass back. As you saw in the agent, we then have a canned response, which is a message that comes off the back of this action. So we weren't expecting anything back from that action. So again, hopefully you've been and had a look at this, but let me show you some of the other techniques that we used in there. So jumping back to my slide deck, let's just make sure I've covered everything. So this was the how to handle our known offenders. We've done that with the if statement, okay, with the conditions. But like I say, be really careful not to get too wide an if. And that again is just showing you how we would do that. I think that's a short video showing you how it's done, but I've shown you that in person. Let's move on to the next one. And then we can add a little bias if you're an angel like me and you want to put your name in and jump straight to the gift choices. Now that's using the if statement. So we also need to understand who our audience is and the fact that they may put in some known entries. In this case, we're handling if Santa comes along. So he's not going to necessarily say hello, but instead he's going to say ho, ho, ho. So let's have a quick look at that in action. And I think it happens at any time. Oops. Anytime we put this in, we will get this response. Okay. Hey Santa, let's dance. And what it does is it sends you off to his very, very Christmassy Spotify list, which let's assume he wants to play while he's on the sleigh. So how do we do that? Right, so that comes back to the topics. So if we go back into our start, we should see where that happened. Let's type it in again and let the system show us where it goes. Okay, it can't show us. Why is that? Well, that's because we've used a different topic. So all of these are listening at the same time, okay? So you can see this one here where I put ho, ho, ho is the one that I called Secret Santa. And if we look just at the authoring pane here, we can say a specific message if this trigger phase is added. Now, it's important that it's constantly listening for these, which means that we can apply an entire conversation thread or some questions and answers based on a particular comment. So if somebody starts to get particularly frustrated during the process, we may want to jump out of that customer service type inquiry or support instance straight away and take them somewhere else and just kind of maybe put up a message saying, look, we don't put up with this kind of behavior. You know, please get on the phone to us and we'll try and help you in person. This is not something we can handle on a bot. Or we may want to, if they've mentioned a product, we may want to jump straight to a product theme. Okay, so these topics here really help you by constantly listening to those messages and being able to know your audience. And, you know, we can see that in action there when we just type ho, ho, ho in. So what else did I have for you? I've shown you all of these live. So this was just literally to show you some screenshots of where we were going to the individual flows. And I'm not sure what else I've got in here to show you. Again, this is showing you how to use those topics and the system ones that come out of the box. If we switch back, we can see, let me reset this one. We can see all of the topics that we've got. There are some really great things you can do in here that I've not shown you with this particular one, specifically because I'm jumping to the next process. So once the data with who you are, whether you're naughty or nice, and what gift you would choose is within our common data service or data verse entry, what we're then doing is passing that to Santa's elves with a couple of business applications so that we can then progress to building that order and sending that order out. So that's what we built and that's what this was designed for. So I didn't need any of these confirm success, failure, or end of conversation. But you can imagine in a business scenario, if this is live on your website, at the end you may want to say, thank you for your time. You may want to give a survey at the end to see how well the bot answered those questions, which again is here out of the box. Or you may want to use the escalate function, which when you tie it up appropriately can switch to a Teams-based conversation, especially with a chatbot, because that's already in your organization, but can switch to an agent. So if somebody does say one of the trigger words that require for them to talk to an agent, this will automatically direct you straight to an agent, because there's no point in continuing the process if they've got frustrated or want to talk to somebody in person. So the bot is there to answer the questions that it can and to suggest the topics that it might jump into based on what you're saying. Now, the hardest part with Power Virtual Agents is designing on paper what it is you want it to do. As you saw from all of this, putting this together is really easy. When we're in a process, as long as we're in the canvas to be able to do this, we can very easily start adding in some extra steps. Let me just show you what that experience is. It's not tough. So we add a node and we can ask a question, add a condition, call an action. So that's going to take us out to Power Automate. What will happen is it shows you the flows that are already associated with this Power Virtual Agent, or you can create a brand new one. We can show a message, which is just talking back to the screen. We can go to another topic, which is the redirect that you were looking at, or we can end the conversation. And as you can see, we've got end with a survey or transfer to an agent. So all of these things are here for you to build in the same way we do with Power Automate down the page. And again, once we are finished, we can then go to the publish action. And we just publish this straight to the page. Have I got my page open? I think, nope, I haven't. Yes, that is the page. Okay, so if you came here to do the survey, or rather to talk to the bot, you should be on this page. And as you can see, this is a standard web page. This is my blog, and all of the web page stuff is around it, and this is just built in. So we can now have the same experience, but in a browser. Now, to do this with Power Virtual Agent, you do need the Power Virtual Agent license. We're not going to go into licensing. I never go into licensing. But needless to say, there is a cost for this. There is a minimum amount that you buy per month, and then you can extend that, because obviously in a public website, that's going to potentially get quite a lot of traffic. One thing that, for example, on our website, we have a scorecard that people can go through, which, as you can see here, if you recognize the technology, this is done with Microsoft Forms, okay? And what this does is it takes you through 6 pages of questions to understand how you're using technology in your business. And it then uses that to create a beautiful scorecard and report for you off the back of that. Now, if we had Power Virtual Agents here, we could be way more responsive than a Microsoft form is going to be. This particular one just needs a form, but you can see my point, how that could have been a far more interactive process and perhaps have delivered you stuff back to the screen. The Power Virtual Agents are getting ridiculously powerful in what you can do in the full version of the product. The Teams version, the chatbot, works within Teams, and I'm sure you've all seen this, and there's lots of videos out there on it. So you're within the Teams experience, and you can do fun stuff around adaptive cards, etc., and you can shoot off in different directions. But this one is designed for you to be able to talk directly to the public and to publicize this and embed it on existing websites. And with the power to do that, you can actually then, there are now tools that can allow you to customize that environment and make it look really great and really specific to what it is that you're trying to do. So there's much more inside the Power Virtual Agents box than I've shown you here today. This is just the quickest of overviews. While we're here, let's just have a quick look at, we have got entities under the hood, as you would expect, where we're saving data down to, and you can get to these through the Dataverse, see, I got it right that time, through the Dataverse environment as well. And we have the analytics. Let's just get rid of the test bot for a minute. And we have the analytics to show how frequently this is used. So if we go back in time to, oops, can't go back in time. Let's see if we can go back to December. We should see a little bit more usage. There we go. So you can see some peaks and troughs there. As we use that, it tells us, you know, exactly which parts of the process are being used. And some of this can be drilled down to as well. I don't think there'll be anything on that. There certainly shouldn't be anything on billing. I'm using a trial here, which I've extended for today to show you. Customer satisfaction would be the output of the surveys that you can pop on the end there. But we have some nice figures here about how we're doing on engagement, how many sessions we've got, what the escalation rate is, and what the abandon rate is, more importantly than anything. So this is a lot of people testing the process for me in the live site. Thank you very much to those people who did that around Christmas time. And hopefully some of you have, I haven't looked in the comments, hopefully some of you have built out your, you know, how to play and gone and found out if you're naughty or nice. But I'm hoping that some of you have built out PVAs before and have something to add. Like I say, this was a 10-minute session that we gave at Christmas, but I wanted to go through it today because nobody else was covering Power Virtual Agents. And I wanted to, you know, be able to expand the topic a little bit around all of the Power Platform tools. So if any of you have had some specific use cases around Power Virtual Agents that you've solved, or issues or problems with the Power Virtual Agent, or some great experiences with it, if you want to share that in the chat with us, if you've got any questions, please do ask, and we can answer those now. I don't think there is much else on the presentation deck to show you. Let's go back in here. That's getting with the flow. And yeah, that's just the closing slide. And so this is how you can get in touch with me if you want to have a talk through this, or if you're having any specific Power Platform great experiences or poor experiences, do get in touch. I can put you in touch with any other people in the community that I think may be able to help you if I can't help you myself. And we are a really, really responsive community. So do jump on, connect with me, feed me back some comments on today's event or this particular presentation. I would really appreciate that. So that's really all I've got for you today. I'll jump back into the Power Virtual Agent itself so that I can answer any questions that we've got. Is there anything on the Q&A, Luke?
Yes, so we've got a few. We'll go from the top. So with PVAs, is there a way to localize the responses and trigger phrases? Is there an out-of-the-box list of greetings in other languages?
Do you know what? I think Charles might be able to answer that better than I can, but I've been on a few sessions where that's been discussed as coming. So that to my knowledge, I haven't played with it myself, but the language framework should be coming. But I believe, I mean, you can go in and obviously play with these yourself, but you're right, that is a great big list there. I'm not sure if there is a way at the moment to be able to bulk upload these, but that would be a great addition as well. If you check on the user voice, there are loads and loads of features coming in the back end of this, and there's some fantastic work being done on the expanded bot framework under the hood in Azure that basically this is leveraging. So I would be very surprised if the languages and the in fact, let's just have a quick look. I don't think it's in settings yet. No, but it would be great to see. Bots Power. No, we haven't got anything up there yet to see that multi-language element coming in, because, you know, you're exactly right. There are a great deal here. You've got 52 of them. We don't want to be retyping that in every single language, but you can add them manually for now if you want to. Okay,
next question. Are there any plans to change the way that the choice fields are displayed in PVA?
Not that I know of, but I'm told all things are coming, all feedback has been received. And, you know, it's difficult to push too hard on changes to a platform that is constantly changing. So PVA is a relatively newcomer. And when you see the pace at which, if you just look at Power Apps, for example, the pace at which we're pushing out changes on Power Apps is ridiculously fast at the moment, and Teams too. And Power Virtual Agents will catch up as there is more usage of it. So I think the trick is to use it more and then to feedback through user voice, and we will get some traction.
Okay, let's have a question more of a thing from Maurice here. So he's trying to use your PVA demo, and he's been getting a send retry error 3 different times. Is there anything that is preventing that? Maybe a firewall or something?
It shouldn't be. Does the page load at all for him? I suppose we're 30 seconds delayed. It's difficult to troubleshoot, right?
Yeah.
Let me just jump
something we can address and get in contact with a later date, perhaps.
So I'm assuming that's this page here.
Yes.
Is just struggling. Okay, so if we refresh that page, I'm not sure whether that will refresh the bot or not. There we go. So that does refresh it. So it would be really useful if when you're here and you've typed in your hello, if you are having issues with that, if you can do the console, if you can bring up the F12 in Chrome, I think it is, and show us if there's anything coming up there, then we can have a look at that with you. But there shouldn't be any reason why that would be blocked, certainly not from within this. This is a public WordPress page.
Okay, and lastly, question from Ali. So, hi. My understanding is that you have to buy chat sessions, etc. For example, 2K bulk sessions. Is it true that if someone opens and closes a bot chat window, that it costs 1 session, even if they don't interact with the bot? Or do users need to start typing and send a question for it to count as a session?
Okay, there is a good link on this, and be difficult for me to find it for you now, but there is an absolute definition of a session. So a session is defined as either 20 minutes long, 100 to and fro's on that session, or and the minimum session, I think they have to put in a trigger, okay, or get a response. I'm not quite sure on that one, but I will look that up, and during the day I will pop that in the chat for you, and then we'll be able to give you the official word on that. But yes, for those sessions, we do want to get the most out of that. So you do buy 2,000 sessions initially. You can buy more sessions on top of that, but we don't want to waste those sessions. And it's a common question to how those sessions are actually defined. I'll find you the information and pop that in the chat for you a little later.
Lovely. Just a follow up from Maurice here. So he's stating that the Power Virtualization does load fine. It's just when submitting.
Okay, awesome. We'll love to troubleshoot that with you. It could be that I only extended the license today, but I don't think that should be a problem. But yeah, let's. You're welcome, Ali. So yeah, let's have a look at that with you, because that certainly is very interesting. It shouldn't be giving you any issues unless there is for some reason that you can't pass through. So yeah, I'd love to look at that and troubleshoot that with you.
Okay.